So we had some pretty interesting election results down in Miami where Democrats were able to flip the mayoral race, which has a lot of interesting potential political dynamics. We have the perfect person to break all of this down for us. Juan David Rojas is a columnist for Compact Magazine. He's got a new piece up there about exactly this. You can put that up on the screen. The headline is How the GOP Lost Miami. And he is also the author of the fantastic Substack, Social Democracy with Populist Characteristics. Exactly our kind of guy. Great to see you, Juan.
Good to see you, dude.
Thanks for having me back on, guys.
Okay, so how did the GOP lose Miami?
Well, there's, like any election, there's both local and national dynamics. On the one hand, oh, wow, I was actually really impressed just to see Miami voters rebuke, like, the city establishment, which is extraordinarily corrupt, reaching new heights under the current administration of Francis Suarez. Primer for those who aren't familiar. Actually, I think you guys covered this. Back when in 2021, he during the 2021 July protests in Cuba, got on top of a car or a van and called for airstrikes on Cuba.
Oh God.
He's this oligarch bro tech guy. I once saw him at an event in Miami, and he said, "Oh, even my dad doesn't understand crypto, and he's a genius. He went to Harvard." Anyway,
but he really strongly embraced crypto.
Yeah,
and embraced Miami as this Miami, part of why I think this is interesting nationally is because Miami has become the symbol of the Republican realignment with Latinos. And also you had all of these Republican elites and tech guys who were setting up shop there as well. So that's part of what makes this really noteworthy from a national perspective.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the city had been growing exponentially. But in recent years, all the people that have come to Florida, and especially South Florida, a lot of people are leaving now because the cost of living has gotten so out of control. I mean, by some metrics, the Miami metro area is the most unaffordable in the country.
Wow.
Average rent has skyrocketed 80% since the pandemic. So it's really grim. And yeah, with Suarez, just cartoonish levels of corruption. I mean, really, you can barely even say that he's mayor. He's spent most of his time abroad lobbying on behalf of Saudi Arabia, and he's been in office since 2017. So after the Khashoggi killing, he's done a lot of PR for the kingdom to kind of rehabilitate them. And actually, he's currently under consideration, reportedly, as next ambassador to Saudi Arabia.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, good.
Perfect.
And so
perfect.
there's that, and then the national aspect, which is that, Miami is a city which is more than 70% Latino, mostly Cuban American. But there's also South Americans and Latinos of Caribbean descent, et cetera, Central America, even Mexicans as well. Latinos are, like the rest of the country, are really unhappy about the economy. If anything, things have gotten worse under Trump. But also Latinos are, obviously more disproportionately affected by the administration's immigration policies, which a lot of people down here, especially, it's kind of new to them, the Cuban Americans, especially because they kind of got a pass by authorities and especially state authorities for decades for lots of reasons.
Yeah, wet foot, dry foot, and all of that. They had all of their special little carve-outs there just for themselves. Can you break down some of the map results on F1? I'm just curious if there was any regional stuff that you can point out to us specifically in the mayoral runoff election and where some bigger swings happen that we should take note of, maybe in terms of demographics.
Yeah, that's a great question. So that western part of the city is more Latino, especially Cuban American. That's Little Havana. The northern part of the city is more Haitian, so that makes perfect sense. Miami's incredibly segregated, including the county. So a lot of these enclaves are disproportionately one kind of immigrant community. But even still, like I said, the 70% of the city is Latino. There were these huge swings, 20-point swings of Latinos towards the Democrats. And another thing, the cope from Republicans is that, turnout was really low. It was 21%, which, sure, is really low. But for a mayoral election, and especially a mayoral election in Miami, this is pretty good. It's about 30% more than the previous 3 or 4 elections. To give an idea, Suarez, who won 2 times, he got 70% of the vote, and turnout was 15%. So it's still pretty significant. And again, Higgins Yeah, she's the first Democrat to win in like at least 2 decades, and the first non-Cuban to win. It's funny,
Hmm.
she's a Democrat, and like the Cubans would call her La Gringa. Talk about the Republicans, but talk about all the talking points for Republicans. We're losing our country. Well, look at that. It's the Democrat. That's the
It's a
American
shame. It's a
in
shame to
Miami.
see a white lady be elected by Cubans, you know.
Uh-huh.
So you write in your piece, you say the White House's ongoing regime change efforts in Venezuela can be read in part as an attempt to retain the loyalty of these disaffected supporters. You go on to say, it's likely to work to an extent. Republicans should be able to keep a critical mass of Florida Latinos and especially Cuban Americans in the fold in the 2026 midterms. Just expand on that, especially since we just had the news about this, which we covered earlier in the show, but I'm interested in your thoughts on as well, that we seized this massive oil tanker.
Yeah, I don't think that's a coincidence. I mean, it came the day after the election.
Mm.
So, just for context, Venezuela for decades, since Chavez came into power in 1999, has sent billions in oil to Cuba, and that's really largely how the regime has stayed afloat for a long time. And they're still sending a lot of oil, even though oil production in Venezuela has cratered. So that's a big talking point down here among the Cuban Americans. They'll say, the oil that they're sending, and also Mexico in recent years has been sending them some oil, so they wanted to crack down on that. So yeah, I mean, more broadly, like the strikes in the Caribbean and the regime change efforts in Venezuela, like people down here are extremely, we talked about this before, neoconservative, especially the Cuban Americans, Nicaraguans, and Venezuela. Cuban Americans, yeah, voted by like around 70% for Trump. And Venezuelans, actually, I was surprised, it was around like 50 something percent. Democrats did better than I expected. Couldn't find anything on Nicaraguans. But so, they believe in like this global cabal of communism. And on a regional level, globally, it's like, Russia, China, Iran,
Right.
Venezuela, Cuba. Regionally, it's the troika of terror: Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua. And so their view is that like if one of these, especially like the biggest one, Venezuela or Cuba, go down, then like a kind of reverse domino theory, the rest will go down with them.
Mm.
So in his first term, uh, a lot of Latino South Floridians were really happy with Trump, the Guaido stuff in 2019, et cetera. And you talk to Venezuelans and Cubans now, and they might say like, yeah, I mean, honestly, this deportation stuff and immigration stuff has gone too far. But they're really happy with the foreign policy, especially Rubio as
Right. Of
Secretary of
course,
State.
yeah. Former senator. They're great. They're great representative. And so, like you said, there's national characteristics. There's local stuff that is all going on. Nobody's expecting Florida to become a blue state anytime soon. But in general, what should we look for? Like we've got the Florida GOP primary going on right now. Fishback, Byron Donalds. You've still got DeSantis there at the top. Anything that you've got your eye on for our audience?
Yeah, so yeah, I said this in the piece. It's hard to know, and this is to give an idea about how contradictory things are down here. So on one level, there was a lot of consternation about what the attempts to build Trump's presidential library in Miami.
Mm.
And the thing is, the land is owned by Miami-Dade College, so the city, there's been a lot of shady dealings about them like trying to like give the land away for free, and there's fears that it would be one thing if it was just the library, but there's fears that they'll want to build like a library slash hotel and casino, which would be really grotesque. There's been a lot of local opposition towards that.
Hmm.
At the same time, and going back to what we were just talking about, if you guys are familiar with the Miami suburb of Hialeah, which is like 90% Cuban American, they just like inaugurated a 12-foot statue, bronze statue of Trump the fighter, it's called. So there's a funny mix of things down here. Yeah, there is on the one hand like consternation over like the immigration policies. On the other hand, they love the regime change stuff. I think given these results from Higgins, it's possible. I mean, I think there's no chance in hell that Democrats really will be that successful in Florida. I mean, like Val Demings in 2022 was about as good a candidate, I
Right.
think, as Democrats could have a few years ago, and they still got killed.
Yep.
Now the environment has changed a lot, so it could be that maybe Democrats managed to make some like moderate gains because of the fact that maybe some neoconservative Latinos are like, you know what, we love Trump, but maybe we don't want to support Republicans on like domestic issues. We'll stay home. Hard to know. We'll have to see.
And how extractable do you think any of this is? Because the South Florida Latino community is fairly unique in terms of the American context. But, you know, look at the mayoral results. It's roughly a 20-point shift in the direction of Democrats. Kamala did win Miami, but it was by like less than a point. It was basically tied. It was very, very close. And then Higgins is able to win by, 19? So huge shift, huge overperformance for Democrats in Miami. You know, how much can we extrapolate that to other Latino communities and other communities in general across the country?
Yeah, I would say that outside of Florida and especially South Florida, because for instance, there are differences within the state. Orlando is much more disproportionately Puerto Rican, which tend to swing more towards Democrats, though Trump did perform pretty well with them in 2024. I would say that elsewhere in the country, Republicans are going to get killed with Latinos. I mean, we already saw that in New Jersey and in Virginia. Like, I mean, unless the economy improves or they decide to start doing things differently with immigration, and that's extremely unlikely. A lot of Latinos here, but also especially in border states, and I guess you could call Florida a border state as well. Like, they were not happy with the situation under Biden. You know, a lot of people would think, oh, you know, like there's millions of people now jumping the line, defrauding the asylum system. But that's one thing. Another thing is that, like, this has gone too far. They're deporting people without process. They're deporting people to maximum security prisons in Africa from countries they don't belong to. There has to be a more sensible middle ground, and I think that doesn't even just apply to Latinos, but just Americans as a whole.
Very interesting, man.
Agreed.
Thank you as always, Juan. We appreciate your analysis. Good to see you, bro. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you. Friday show tomorrow. See you all then.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.